Okay, I hope you're excited about this lesson because today you're going to be learning how to make your computer think. That's right, your computer will begin to start making decisions based on some conditions you've given it. And that's called the conditionals. Today you are learning about this thing called conditionals, which make computers think. Really, they just make decisions. So let me show you how this works. Let's say I wanted this computer to change backgrounds, the color to change, only if my mouse was on the right side of the screen, or if it's over here. I'll make it the background change. The way we can do it is this. Well, first let's just write in our text so we can see where our mouse is. Mouse X plus, you know the deal here, plus mouse Y, 2020. All right, so now we know where our mouse is. Now the way I could do this, make the background change, is using a thing called an if statement. If statement works as follows. You write the word if, all right? That's a JavaScript world, not even P5, that works in all JavaScript. And then you put in parentheses what you want the computer to check to see if it's true. So here's what I want the computer to check. I want to check to see if my mouse X is greater than 200. This is the statement that will check to see if it's true or false. Then we should say, what do we want to happen if it is true? Well, that's where we put our brackets in. So you make two brackets and then you put something in between. So notice I have an opening bracket and a closing bracket. And in between these two brackets is where I'm going to put what do I want to happen. Well, I want the background to turn to a pretty green. So 0, 255, 0. And you'll see I'm going to press play. And look, nothing's happening. But I want you to see that's because look at what my X is. My X is right now 23. This code only runs when mouse X is greater than 200. Right now it's 65 or 67. Is that greater than 200? No. So it's not running this code. Oh, you kind of saw it there. What if I went to 150? Is that great? Is my mouse X greater than 200? No. How about now at 180? Nope. It's close, but it's still not greater than 200. But I can keep going, and watch. Boom! The minute I'm greater than 200, it turns green. If I go back, not green. Over, green, not green, green, not green, not green. So whenever my X, my coordinate, see it's really close right now, it's 109. Whenever I go over here, whenever mouse X is greater than 200, it runs this new code and draws a whole new background. So this is just getting you used to if statements. You say if, and in parentheses, what you want the computer to check to see if it's true. If this is true, then it runs this code in the two brackets. Let's try this again with let's say a circle. I want to change the color of a circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it start red. So 255, 0, 0, and I'll make an ellipse at 200, 250. All right. So right now you're looking at a red circle. The background's still changing colors. Now I want this circle to change colors every time my Y position is greater than 200. So here's what I'm going to do. In between the fill and the ellipse, I'm going to say if mouse Y, well, let's actually do less, is less than 200, then I'm going to, that's what it's going to check to see it's true. Then I make my brackets. If mouse Y is less than 200, what do I want to happen? Well, then I want my fill to actually be 0, 0, 255. I want it to be blue. All right? So if you look here, now it's blue because my Y is less than 200. Now, as I move my thing up, oh, when my Y gets to 213, look, it turns red. Less than 213, blue. Greater than 213, red. If I move my mouse over here, green. Whoa, look at all these crazy things going on. Woo! Ah! Kind of cool, right? The computer is now thinking now. It's making decisions. So if mouse Y is less than 200, it makes the fill blue, right? It executes this code. If it's not less than 200, meaning it's greater than 200, then it just stays red. So look, I'm going to move it greater than 200. Boom, red. When it's less than 200, it executes the code. So that's how if statement works. Okay, let's do one more. I'm going to do one more example here. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to start with a new sketch. And this time, we're going to make an ellipse that gets bigger every time we do something with our mouse. So let's just start with this. We're going to make an ellipse. It's going to be 200, 250. Now, if I want this thing to get bigger, I'm actually going to have to use a variable, right? If I want the size to change, remember, when you hear the word change, you should think I need a variable. So I want this thing to get bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a variable, let diameter. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is actually start. I'm going to go to my setup. I'm going to say diameter is equal to 50. All right, and then in here, I'm going to replace the 50 with diameter. Now, nothing should change, right? It's still just an ellipse with 20, 20, and the diameter is 50. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this if statement on top of it. I'm going to say if mouse x is greater than 300, well, then I'm going to do something inside these brackets. Now, what do I want to happen? Well, let's make the diameter much bigger. So I'm going to make diameter equal to 200. Let's make it something huge, okay? So now I want you to look at this code and try to figure out what's going to happen. It's saying if the mouse X position is greater than 300 on the screen, then I want the diameter of this circle to then become 200. All right? Go, get ready to be blown away. All right, my mouse is moving, it's moving, it's moving. It's at the middle point. That's still not 300. The X position is still going. I'm increasing, increasing, increasing. Boom! See that thing blew up? And the problem is it doesn't go back down, right? Well, there's actually a way that I can now change up my code a little bit so this actually can be a little bit more interesting. But you just saw that. The real thing here was if mouse X was greater than 300, it changed the variable to 200. Now, what if I just did this? I'm going to move down my code to here. Instead of doing it in setup, I'm going to put it in draw. And now I want you to watch how that changes things. If I go greater than 300, and I want you to just spend one more minute thinking about why that changed anything. Why moving it from all the way up here in setup, where if I went bigger, it never changed back down. Why moving it back down here into the draw function did it make it so it can go back and forth? Well, just to tell you, when it's in the setup, remember the setup only runs once. So that means it sets the 50 one time, right? So it's only going to set it once to 50 and never again. Now it's 200. It's stuck at 200 forever, right? It'll never go back to the 50 because the setup function only runs one time. Now, if I move this down here, you think how the code's running. Every single time this code runs, it sets it to 50. And then, if the mouse is greater than 100, it changes it up to 200. So if you're looking here, right now the diameter is 50, 50, 50, 50. Now my mouse is greater than 300. It's running this code here. Only when my mouse is greater than it says diameter is 200. So now it's bigger. And if I put my mouse back down, it gets smaller. Bigger, smaller, bigger, smaller, bigger, smaller. Because the diameter now goes down to 50. It resets it to 50. Because this code is running 60 times per second. It's setting it back to 50 every single time. Okay, well that's it. Taught you how to do 3 things in this lesson. 1, I taught you how to change the background color. 2, I taught you how to change the color of a shape using if statements. And 3, you learned how to change the size of a shape using if statements. Your computer's thinking. This is incredible. Well done, guys. Remember to go home and kiss your mother, tell you love her, and like I always say, adopt a cat. It's a good thing to do. Bye.